Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Wrestling Marks of Excellence here on 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Now to today's show.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Marks of Excellence here on Fox Sports Radio 1340 AM, 96.9 FM. Always with me is the Wizard himself, Nephew Corey. What's going on, Wizard?
Gee, what is going on, man? It's a good day.
It's definitely a good day. Also with me is my main man, Champ Creed. What's going on, Champ?
I think we should start to do what if wrestling, not only just for Black History Month.
What was that?
I said nobody's doing it.
Nobody's doing it, so we're gonna do it, and we'll keep running on with it. Tonight we got a good one here, good one that everybody in the wrestling community talks about it, and we're gonna talk about it tonight. What if R-Truth would have won the WWE Championship in 2011 at Capital Punishment? Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and share this with somebody else. If you're not subscribed to our podcast, whether you're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you watch it, wherever you listen to it at, make sure you hit that button. So go ahead and listen. So you'll never miss any of our episodes. We're going to let you start us off. Set the timeline for us leading up to this Capital Punishment. It's 2011 WWE. What is it like?
Okay, so at this time in 2011, John Cena is just coming off of winning back the WWE Championship from The Miz, and I believe that was done I do believe that was a triple threat steel cage match with him against Miz against John Morrison, I believe. I think that's the match. I got to look back and check, but I know for sure it's coming off of The Miz around that time. This is around April or May or so. And WWE is pretty much looking for something fresh at this point. Like I said, it is 2011. That this is coming off of a so-so in a lot of the fans' eyes, WrestleMania 27, and WWE is looking for something different. R-Truth had just recently turned on his tag team partner, John Morrison, and at this point, R-Truth is kind of getting some buzz because it's somebody fresh and somebody new in that kind of title picture. So R-Truth is pretty much talking about how there's a he should be WWE champion. He would be, a fresh new face in the division and things of that nature. And R-Truth starts to go on a series of promos that are, timeless at this point and hilarious. And you really get a peek into the R-Truth character of what we know today of that silliness, that one of a kind character that he is. And it's something different with John Cena, and it would have been interesting to see that now. And pretty much now we're talking about today, what if John Cena loses the WWE Championship at Capital Punishment in June of 2011 to R-Truth? And there's a lot of factors that pivot into this, especially considering the events that surround CM Punk and things of that nature. So let's get into it.
Definitely get into it. You had John dealing with R-Truth in that time frame. He stopped doing the whole, interacting with the crowd, as you mentioned. He stopped doing the whole, his whole rap gimmick coming out. He came out seriously, and he came out, and what happened? He started doing a lot of conspiracy theory type things of why he couldn't be and why he was not the world heavyweight champ, why he wasn't the champion at that time. And so therefore it catapulted him into a point like, you know what? He's starting to pick up a lot of steam, and the fans start really getting behind him. In my opinion, I believe it was in Richmond, Virginia. He dressed up in the Confederate outfit. Yes. If I'm not mistaken. Matter of fact, we was at that show, right? Yeah, we was at that show here in Richmond, where he dressed up like that, and he was in big segments with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and all that started to come into play. And now fans are starting to pick up on John Cena because, again, you said it, Wizard. we wanted a new face at that time, wanted something different. John Cena was there, and R-Truth would have been different at that time. If R-Truth would have won a capital punishment in Washington, D.C., I think it would have been landmark. I think it would have changed the scope of professional wrestling as we know it. Because, again, he would have been I want to call it, true African-American. I use quotation marks for those who watching because
native Black American.
Native Black American who won the WWE Championship other than The Rock. And so the whole Kofi Kingston thing wouldn't have made a difference. Might not have even happened. I don't want to go that far ahead because you had R-Truth who would have been the guy. And I think he could have carried it up until SummerSlam leading into it and would have did well because the next night it was in Baltimore. I mean, so you left Chocolate City going to another predominantly African-American city and you're introducing the new champion who just beat John Cena. It would have been revolutionary for WWE, for R-Truth, and for the culture.
Interesting.
And then he really hadn't. Tell me if I'm right, Wizard. He hadn't introduced Little Jimmy yet, right? But he had.
Actually, it's funny. The Little Jimmy is birthed as a result of this match. Like the result of this match is the birth of Little Jimmy, pretty much.
Right. So
yeah, no, it is.
And so take him winning and then introducing Little Jimmy as a slap in the face to all the white folks, right? Because to go back previous, he doing his run up to Cena, he threw some drink on a dad or a little kid, and so he was already dealing with Caucasian people in the crowd anyway, because it was WWE was at that borderline stage. And so if he wins the title, who beats everybody's I'm gonna say this Caucasian hero, which is John Cena, and he takes this run in the angle that he could go in 2011, because I'm using it that way because just still remember, Barack Obama is the president of the United States.
Right.
And that was a big thing. Barack Obama, if I'm not mistaken, was on the poster. They even brought a Barack Obama impersonator in doing a show, right? Yes. So doing it, so he wins that, it's like a slap in the face to everybody, knowing that Vince McMahon and everyone else are strong Republicans at this time. It would have been good for WWE to get that type of heat in 2011 with R-Truth being the world new champion. And just using Little Jimmy as it is and having Little Jimmy run for a while and then introducing Little Jimmy as a big 6'9", 235-pound white guy or 265 white guy, it'll have been great.
Well then, you said a mouthful, and that's what we're here for. Do you want to chime in first, Champ, or you want me to do it?
All right, really quickly. I want you to chime in first, but I want to ask you, which belt was it that Cena had at the time?
It was a spinner. It was the WWE Championship.
The WWE World Championship. Okay, thank you. All right, you can go ahead.
So, excuse me. I do think R-Truth, you wanted to see it happen because the character was so great. Looking at it in hindsight, I don't know. I can see why they didn't go that route. I feel like all plans were in place for CM Punk at this point.
Yes.
And that's the underlying problem. You know, we look back at it because it was such a finite time in history for them. Like, whatever would have been done with R-Truth, unfortunately, it would have been overshadowed by the CM Punk situation because they were rolling with that, and that pretty much had been in works for months at that point. And the intrigue that they have, which honestly we can't fault them. I think they got it right, and I know that's a weird twist on what we're doing with the show, the What If, but I think WWE got it right that they did, years later, that they didn't put it on R-Truth at that time, because it would have only minimized whatever R-Truth did. R-Truth would have lost it like within probably a week or a night's time. Because everything, the ball really started rolling that next night with CM Punk.
Pipe bomb, right?
Yeah. So at that point, you have Truth in that title picture, but they knew where they were going. Honestly, and it's as weird as it is, but it has to be said. Really, Truth was really the bridge, the 4 to 6 week bridge to get you to Punk. And that was his purpose at that point. It was something because you weren't going to run. How do I? Yeah, they pretty much, and it's just giving WWE credit. They ran the Punk storyline going into Money in the Bank that year perfectly because it was enough time. It wasn't too much time where it dragged on from April or May all the way through to July. But it was just enough time where you knew, okay, this is a good thing you're going with Punk. So the what if? I think if R-Truth had won the WWE Championship, it just would have been a footnote because ultimately they already knew where they wanted to go, and it was Cena and Punk. So,
And Punk got it August 2011, right?
no, that's the second time. Remember, Punk wanted that Money in the Bank in July.
Wait, July? Yes, yeah, that's right, July.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I'm looking at the timeline,
Mm-hmm.
it says John Cena he got the belt May 1st, 2011. That ran. It was a triple threat steel cage match.
Oh, so I was right. Good. Okay, good.
Yeah, and John Morrison was involved.
Yep.
And Morrison was partners with Truth, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that storyline works. Then the next night on, all right, then you have Capital Punishment. CM Punk dropped the pipe bomb in Baltimore?
No, the pipe bomb was coming.
Like a week
the
later.
pipe bomb was in Vegas.
He was in Vegas. It was a week or two later after that.
Okay.
I want to say like 2 weeks after that, 2 to 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, what's the date on Capital Punishment? Does it tell you?
Yeah.
I know the pipe bomb because the pipe bomb was on my mom's
June
birthday,
19th
so I
or
know.
something like that?
No, the Capital Punishment is June 11th, and that Raw was June 12th.
Yeah, and see, and I know, like, yeah, it was the day before. Yeah, it was right around my mom's birthday, so I know for sure that pipe bomb was not too long after Capital Punishment. So that would make sense. So yeah, it was 2 weeks because I want to say Punk I think was named number one contender in Baltimore, or did he win a match against Mysterio or something like that? He either won a match or he was named number one contender, but I know that was somewhere around there.
Wow. Okay. I'm ready to weigh in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to agree with you that the WWE that night, in terms of the outcome leading to the road with Punk dropping the pipe bomb, because that pipe bomb, that was one of those moments that we didn't have in professional wrestling. That thing played on ESPN, bro. I remember that. Listen, because John Cena beat R-Truth, that led up to him and CM Punk. What was the man? It was Money in the Bank, Rosemont, Illinois. That is one of the pay-per-view broadcasts where I have the audio on my phone to listen to. Like, I ripped it, turned it to an audio file, put it in my playlist. I listen to it when I go to the gym. Like, that moment was crazy. Even now, to this day, you hear it, everything, the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do feel that they could have circled back and they could have done something with Truth. So now, Punk gets the title. He has it, August till when?
So that timeline pretty much, no, he only had it a couple of minutes. Remember, Punk is cashed in on it SummerSlam by Alberto Del Rio. He's cashed in on it. And yeah, and he doesn't get it back to November.
And Del Rio had the Money in the Bank.
Yes.
What I would have done is I would have had Truth face Alberto Del Rio. The winner gets the briefcase. I would have had Truth get the briefcase. I would have had Truth cash in on Punk. And now you have Truth with the belt. And then at Night of Champions, you could recircle around to have Cena versus Truth for the belt.
Yeah, yes. Here's the only kind of ding in that is that at that point, as you know, they're so high on Del Rio. Del Rio's main event at that point throughout the entire summer, all the way until Del Rio drops the belt to Punk in November.
Okay, all right. So then how about this?
Okay.
You have Truth and Alberto Del Rio. Winner gets the Money in the Bank briefcase, right?
Okay, quick question for you. How do we get there, though? That's the situation. Think that's where I kind of will say that they're going to draw the line on that, because how does Truth logically get to that point that he's challenging for the Money in the Bank briefcase?
Truth can plead his case saying that there's always been the conspiracy to stop him from being a champion. Look, even the fans are interfering in my title shot now. Didn't the kid throw the water in his face, the soda in his face?
No, he threw the water in the I think the kid's father's face. I believe.
No,
something like that.
Yeah, the kid's father's face. And that was before.
But didn't somebody do it back to him, and then that's how he wound up losing to Cena?
I think something of the sort. I got to look back. I think it might have been that.
Yeah, because he did it like the week before, and then like they got him back. So he pleads that case to the general manager, and this will be one of those random times where a title was decided by the interference of a fan, right?
I want to add this point too, so the fans can understand. At this time, the general manager is the anonymous general manager, right? We don't know.
There we go. We go.
So we got the anonymous general manager at this time doing 2011 with R-Truth. Because, matter of fact, the anonymous general manager is the one who gave R-Truth the title match.
There we go. So now you say, out of the history of this belt, there has never been interference by a fan that has determined the outcome of a match. This fan determined the outcome of a match. Therefore, I deserve a title shot or a rematch. Oh, well, we can't give you an automatic rematch. Well, I deserve the opportunity. And the opportunity is for me to face Alberto Del Rio for his Money in the Bank briefcase to make things right. The unknown GM, okay, Truth, that's legit. You got it. He beats Alberto Del Rio. He goes on. He gets the belt from Punk. So now you have Truth with a title ring, right? So
yes. Can we back up for a second, though?
Yes, let's bring it
back.
Here's
my only situation with I hate being that guy, but I have to be that guy. I have to ask this. Why is Alberto being punished for something he had nothing to do with? In the sense that why is he what justifies making him put up Money in the Bank? You'd have to find a way to introduce him into that, saying it, and that's where I think the logic part comes in, because of the character Del Rio was, and being cunning and sly and a smart heel.
Yeah,
he was heel, face, or tweener at the time.
Who?
He was
Del Rio.
Oh, he was a heel.
He was heel, and let's be honest,
he was in his first year.
He was a heel, and he was way over, because that's when you started seeing all the Hispanic fans wearing the scarves in the arena in 2011. Right? Everybody's decked out in the scarf. He is legitimate heel in 2011.
Yeah, and that's where I keep going back to. It's like everything you're saying is a great way to put Truth in that title picture, but the problem is that how are we getting to the point where it's dumbed down to where Del Rio dumbs down his character and say, yeah, I'm going to put up Money in the Bank.
No, no, you don't dumb it down. You use the anonymous GM for that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at. How if the GM is, the GM is relatively heel for the most part. They did some fair stuff, but it's relatively heel. It's, I guess for me, and like I said, I could be being way too analytical for it. I'm just thinking, why would the GM put him in that position where he could circumvent all of that and just put Truth straight in the match? You don't even need to go through Del Rio. You have the power to just put him in the match. And that's where I think the disconnect is for me, is that at the end of the day, how are you putting Del Rio into that situation when he doesn't need to be, because he essentially isn't doing anything to prevent Truth from getting a championship match. He wins Money in the Bank fairly, So why is he being made to put that up when he's not even in the storyline? That's where I'm getting at, is that at that point Del Rio has no reason to even. He has a number one contendership match. There's no reason for him to be in that situation where he needs to be putting it up. He doesn't care who, as the person holding Money in the Bank, you don't even care who has the championship because you have a guaranteed number one contendership. So you don't even need to worry about what they're doing because you have literally the briefcase. Everything checks out 100% with what you're saying. The only hole is putting Del Rio in that position when there's no reason for him to defend the Money in the Bank. That's the only situation because you're there, you're getting there. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, how are you going to put Del Rio in that match and justify him defending it? It's like being made to defend it when he has nothing to do with it.
Well, three things. One, if this were the two-down, you could have R-Truth. Actually, I'm not even going to say it because I'll say that. Remind me to tell y'all one of the reasons that would justify Del Rio being in that position.
Yeah, okay, fair. I think, yeah.
Off air, right?
Now, if you could look that up, or you, champ, now this is how you can bridge this. Was R-Truth in that Money in the Bank match?
What was that, Money in the Bank 2011?
Yes. Was he in that Money in the Bank match, or was he just not on the pay-per-view?
Let's see. Money in the Bank 2011. Let's look up the card. See, this is why I'm telling you. I think we found something with this. This is fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this. R-Truth was in that match.
He was in that Money. So he was in.
Right. The people that were in that match.
He was in the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match?
Right. Yep. I'm going to give you the people that were in that match. All right. You had Money in the Bank match that people that were in that match.
It was Miz, Mysterio, Del Rio,
Alex
R-Truth.
Riley, Evan Bourne, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, The Miz, R-Truth, and Rey Mysterio.
That's how you get there then, champ. That's how you get there. You have to do something with R-Truth in that. Now it makes sense. Because it was never making sense unless you can. Something has to happen in that match. You do something where there's a direct interaction with the result. Because I remember Del Rio got that briefcase because Mysterio almost won it and he took the mask off Mysterio.
Yes.
And I think that's how they kind of had Del Rio's kind of bridging feud and up until he gets to Cena and Punk. I mean, take Mysterio out of that equation completely, and you do something where R-Truth is literally about to win the Money in the Bank match, and Del Rio and Ricardo somehow costs him, and now you have Del Rio feuding with R-Truth over the briefcase because R-Truth feels he wasn't justified in and treated fairly to have a chance to get the briefcase. That's how you get there. Now everything connects with what you're saying. Now it can work. That whole feels.
So now, Truth has the briefcase. He cashes in on Punk, right?
Okay.
Now you're coming back around to Night of Champions, and Cena has a match there. Now Cena gets the belt at Night of Champions from Del Rio, but what I would do in that instance is you could because if you let Cena take it off of Truth, right? Because basically, what Alberto Del Rio had it for like what, a month?
Yeah. See, from what the scuttlebutt around that time is, from what I heard, it was something where ratings were down for Raw.
Right.
Ratings were down for Raw, so they hot shot it back to Cena, and then it gets hot shotted back to Alberto
Del Rio.
It's a weird time at that time.
Right.
But the way you can put Truth in there, because you got to remember the night of the pipe bomb in June, Truth actually beat Cena in a tables match.
Yep.
So he actually beat Cena that night and never really got another match up. So now Truth can go all the way back to June. Like, look, I was the one who beat the champion. You know how he go? He does his roundabout way to put himself in. I almost lost the Money in the Bank. Now I need to get my title shot. And now Night of Champions, instead of having Cena versus Alberto Del Rio, you could also have a three-way Alberto Del Rio versus R-Truth versus John Cena.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can do that because I think later down the line, Hell in a Cell was a triple threat match, right?
No. I think that was
October
one-on-one.
2011?
I don't think Punk was in that one.
When I'm looking at it right now,
yes,
it says Hell in a Cell.
No, you're right. He was. Punk was in that. You're right.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah. So what you do is now you have Truth, Cena, and Del Rio playing Ring Around the Rosie because Truth keeps it at Night of Champions. And then what I would do is Truth comes out with it. Now he faces Punk in November. He drops it to Punk because Punk won it in Survivor Series, right? It says,
yes.
hold on. It says
in Madison Square Garden, yes.
Yeah, it says CM Punk had initially won, but the match was restarted by Vince due to interference by the Shield, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Punk holds on to it until The Rock at the Royal Rumble, right?
Yep.
Drops The Rock, and then you can bring back Cena and The Rock around for Mania 29, and the timeline is complete.
Okay. So Truth just gets kind of a ho-hum run, I guess you could say.
He gets a summer run, a summer to fall run. And what this does is this disassociates the title from Alberto Del Rio, which in hindsight, knowing what history is, I'm pretty sure that if they knew then what they know now about him, all right, Truth, you got it.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah, that guy would not be in the record books.
Yeah.
But am I not mistaken that? And I know we're going. I know it's about R-Truth, but during that time, wasn't WWE doing a lot of Mexican tours or trying to find that partnership with Mexico?
I'm sure they probably were. And that was
one of the time. And that was one of the reasons Alberto was big. But again, I think Truth could have carried it through the summertime. I think it would have been good for the WWE at the same time. And I think everybody wanted it because, again, the African-American president, the whole situation going on in Washington, where the culture of the nation was at.
G, listen, we don't even got to go there with all that. Truth is an entertaining individual.
No, he's entertaining, but I'm talking about crowds in general. He's an entertaining.
He's good. He has the credibility in ring. The boys in the back support him. You know what I'm saying? He's gold on the mic. His sketches was fire. He can entertain. He can do music. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, believe it or not, if you utilize him, that solves your rating problems because he's gonna pull in 1 for the curiosity, 2 for the landmark moment, and 3 because the guy, he's a draw. You don't get to stay on the roster this long if you're not a draw to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter where you go or whatever, listen, I even tell you this personally, right? I met Truth, you know what I'm saying? I'm just removing this from before I met him. Just meeting him amplifies, you know what I'm saying? You can be in any arena, right? Buying your popcorn, getting your soda, going to the bathroom, coming out the bathroom, whatever, at any WWE show. When his music hits, everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. I've never seen anyone have a bad reaction like, it's just R-Truth. Not whether he's on the bottom of the card, the middle of the top card, pre-show, no matter where you have him on that card, the guy is a star and he's been a star. And I think that like that goes beyond, any cultural definition or any cultural borders, especially at that time.
I give you that. I give you that he is a star. He's a star. He's been a star everywhere he's been, and whatever WWE has given him, he has turned into gold. If you go look at his track record, the little Jimmy, he turned that into a gold. Even with Carmella and the dance breaks, he turned that into gold. And we can't, let's not, and even talk about what he's done with the 24/7 championship where he's won it like 150 times. He's turned that into gold, right? He's an established star, which he didn't do bad with the NWA Championship. So at this time, he could have took the WWE Championship for that short run and been successful with it.
Dare I say, the 24/7 division is created for him. I think that was creatively made for him so that it always gives him something to do and that he isn't lost in the shuffle. I really believe that whole division, that whole concept of that championship. I know the story around it was pretty much they were looking for something shocking, like a ratings grab, something interesting for the show. I think something underlying with that is that it was made for R-Truth just to keep him in some sort of relevancy on the show, specifically for him, because he's done so well with it, and it has 100% essentially been booked around him since its inception. He's never not been somehow booked around that championship. So, yeah, I believe it was made for him.
And not for nothing, the way that it turned out when they debuted it, when they made the debut, a lot of people were like, "What?"
Yeah,
it was something that I really felt that was going to be a throwaway concept, but you put him in the mix, and like Austin says, he turned chicken shit into chicken salad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one more thing too. R-Truth still does get some sort of, this is very loosely being said, championship run, in the sense that he is in somewhat of a high-profile upper card / main event storyline all the way through to November, because the whole conspiracy theory thing runs into being tied in with him and The Miz against Rock and Cena, culminating at Survivor Series in Madison Square Garden. So he is prominent. I got to give them credit for that. He is somewhat prominently featured in that he doesn't get the championship, but he's in a high-profile storyline all the way through for about 5 or 6 months up until Survivor Series. So, got to give it that. They don't completely throw him away, and I think that's something that a lot of people may have forgotten. Yes, he doesn't get the championship, but it's not like they did away with him and did nothing with him. For a good 6 months, he was on the upper card / main event. So we can't write WWE off completely on that they completely dropped the ball on him with that, because they do give him a main event-ish top of the card type run for a good 6 months. So
and then look how you do it too, right? Just because I just thought about it. What you do is after let's say he beats Alberto Del Rio at SummerSlam, right? And then in the title match against Punk after he cashes in, you can have Miz come in, interfere, helps Truth win. Now you got that awesome Truth run that you had with Miz being a former champion and Truth being a current champion. And now you got a dynamic duo in an unlikely run that actually was a damn good run, leading, like we said, all the way up to Survivor Series.
I can see that. Absolutely. I can see that.
I know this ain't about The Miz, but who hasn't The Miz had an awesome tag team run with? Anybody you put tag with him and they win the championship, it's been great. I mean, Miz show. Right?
Show Miz, yeah.
Show Miz. That was an awesome run, right? And we already know about him and Morrison. I mean, Miz has been tag team champions with a lot of people, and their runs have been great.
Yeah.
And been funny. But R-Truth, R-Truth is one of those guys that they could have put the strap on him.
That is random that you say that. I think Miz has had one. Has Miz had one with Cena also? I feel like he has. During this storyline, I think Miz, I know Tonga did, but I think Miz did too. I think Miz has been tag team champions with John Cena. I'm trying to remember that. I think he was. I mean, we know about Shane McMahon as well and all that, but I think he was tag champions with Miz. I could be wrong, but I gotta look at that. I think he was, man. I really do.
Well, I mean, we can look at that in the next what if we want to throw Miz into our new dimension of pro wrestling podcasting. But I think that's how we would book our truth with his title run. And I just really think that it would have been. I mean, he's entertaining without being champion. I think we were deprived of some historic Raw Monday Night Raw moments as our truth is champion.
And yeah, he was tag team champions with John Cena. That was right.
February 2011.
Yep, going into WrestleMania.
Yep. The Miz, he is a Hall of Famer. I know this ain't about the Miz, but can't nobody tell me that the Miz is not a Hall of Famer, man. That guy, that guy is there. Our Troop is a Hall of Famer too, whether he won the championship or not. But that was a great run by our Truth to be on top in the main event. I mean, I look at main events this way. He was opening the shows and he was closing out the shows, whether it was Raw on Raw. On the microphones, like I said, like Wizard said, he had been relevant. He stayed relevant all the way up into when they Summer Survivor Series. Our Truth was there, and even with the botch of him having to drink water outside the ring and smoke a cigarette and all this other stuff that he was going on prior to that, our Truth was that guy and still is that guy that WWE can trust to go out there and get the crowd. To get a laugh from the crowd and to get the crowd supported. He can sell anything. And he can put anybody over. So it would have been a good run for our Truth to be WWE champion. But again, even though he wasn't the WWE champion, he still had a good run during the summer of 2011.
Yep.
Now, before we wrap it up, something that I want to bring back, G?
What's that?
In the WrestleMania season, I want to bring back Let's Stump the Wizard. Because I did stump you, right? I did catch you, right?
No. I don't know why
I did.
No, I don't think so.
I caught him one time.
No.
I caught you one time.
Look, and if it ever happened, my goodness, you'd think you'd remember it and what it was, right?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I may have forgotten it because it might have been twice instead of once.
Okay. Now he's being ridiculous.
Now,
yeah.
But I will say this. I want to tell you guys this. Yo, I had a dream. We got 11 years worth of shows, right? G, you have most of these things, right?
Yeah. Most of these, we got 11 years worth of shows.
I got a question for you.
Sure. It better be logical too.
No. It's a trivia question.
Yeah, sure. I probably don't remember. He's probably gonna get me right here. I'm nobody.
No. Which band performed the opening number, the song "Superstar" at WrestleMania 18?
I've already answered it.
I didn't hear you.
I said Saliva.
There we go. Boom. All right. See, there you go. We want to know. Bring it back.
Yeah, them and Drowning Pool performed at WrestleMania 18.
Yep.
Yeah, so and they did, the Dudley's theme, and Drowning Pool did Triple H's theme that night. So it's actually
you know what's so funny?
What?
WrestleMania 18, Chris Jericho is, my favorite wrestler, whatever, right? But I do not remember his match with Triple H that night.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they talk about that all the time.
Nobody remembers that match because everybody remember Hulk. Everybody remember Cena. Not Cena. Everybody remember Hogan and Rock.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you felt bad for them. It was Triple H's return. I mean, he'd been back, but it's pretty much Triple H in the return to championship glory and all that. And it didn't matter. I mean, it sucks because it's like, that's the WWE Championship. Triple H is coming back from a torn quad, but he got so overshadowed by Rock and Hogan. It's a footnote to a lot of people. So, I get it.
Right.
Which that's a whole different. That's a whole different story because I think I said a couple weeks ago when we talked about it. If it wasn't in Toronto, I don't think it would have happened that way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. The conditions were perfect.
Everything was perfect for that. But before we get out of here, man, closing thoughts on our Truth, fellas. On if you won the title, closing thoughts, anything about our Truth.
He's Hall of Famer for sure, as we just talked about. I mean, the guy's career. He's been in WWE the second run. Remember, because he was there a long time ago as K Quick. But
Yeah.
this second run has lasted 14 years, and like Champ mentioned, to last this long at this point, they see something in you. So he's definitely on his way to post career notoriety in WWE.
Here's my thing. I think right now, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We can discuss this later. I think in terms of new faces, new talent that are performers on Raw and SmackDown and the roster in general, I cannot remember another time. Maybe it probably was the Ruthless Aggression era where there were this many new fresh faces. Meaning, like if you didn't watch wrestling in like say 3-4 years, maybe even 2 years, and you turn on the TV now, you're like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this girl? Who's that guy? You know what I mean? For this new level of talent to come in and have him still there after the mass firings, after so many WrestleMania roster cuts, like that says a lot about not only him as a performer and a professional. It says a lot about because his professionalism is something that everyone back there respects.
I agree.
Totally agree. Give you that. Even Nick Khan likes him because he ain't been fired yet. But hey, good show as always, man. What R-Truth would have been a WWE champion at Capital Punishment. Again, I think R-Truth is one of those guys that is always a history maker. He will always be in the history books. He is when you talk about WWE and you talk about guys who longevity, as you guys mentioned, R-Truth is there. Talk about guys that Vince McMahon respects and likes. R-Truth name always comes up. And he's that guy. When everybody was hanging out at catering, R-Truth is thinking about how can he reinvent himself. And just like The Miz, whoever you put R-Truth with, he elevates that person, right? And that's what you can think about R-Truth. And whoever you put him in the ring with, he's going to rise up to the occasion. So enjoyed R-Truth, man. Enjoy. I wish you would have won the title back then, over 10 years, 10, 11 years ago. It would have been a good run. Even if it might have been a short run, it would have been nice for that moment, nostalgia moment. And I think what we would have said at that time, it would have been great for R-Truth. Things work out the way they have to work out, and that's why we got Kofi Kingston did it when he did it. But it would be great to see R-Truth with it. With that being said, Wizard, take us home.
Hey, if you're not confirmed, consider yourself denied.
Hitting the story, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, and catch you down the road.